To get the $2 million wedding gift, I decided to marry a blind man. Because he was blind, I felt no inhibition in anything I did, messing around however I pleased, until the time I took off my clothes in front of him again. He coughed violently, which made me suspicious. I pretended to hit him, and he instinctively dodged. That day, I was passing by the singles corner, a place for parents to find matches for their children, when a beaming auntie stopped me and asked, "Miss, are you here looking for a partner?" I wasn't looking for a partner, I was looking for a job. I've always been against the idea of blind dates and was even determined not to get married. I didn't want a partner at all. Just as I was about to deny it, the auntie said something astonishing. "My son is great, 6'2", an 8-pack, and more handsome than a movie star. Oh, and we'll give you a $2 million wedding gift, plus a villa and a Porsche." Auntie, you truly have a discerning eye. I am here looking for a partner. To be honest, I stroll around here every day just hoping to marry into a good family. I warmly shook the auntie's hand. I come here every day, too. You're the prettiest girl I've seen. By the way, what are your educational background and profession? The auntie was beaming with joy. I got a Master in law from Boston and I'm currently working as a lawyer. A lawyer. That's wonderful. The auntie became even happier. She pulled me over to sit down for a detailed conversation, asking many questions. The more she asked, the more satisfied she became. Finally, she made a definitive statement. "I like you so much. If you don't mind my son, I'll arrange for you to meet him tomorrow." Since she put it that way, how could I possibly mind? "Do you have a picture of your son?" I asked, my heart fluttering. The auntie took out a photo, and when I saw it, my eyes almost glazed over. The man in the picture was coolly handsome and refined. His clean-cut short hair made him look both sunny and mature, and with those drop-dead gorgeous features, he was a walking dose of pure testosterone. "Auntie, I'll marry him," I declared with equal certainty. The auntie, however, hesitated. "Dear, my son has a condition. I wonder if you can accept it. Actually, this photo is from last year. He lost his sight this year." Blind? I was stunned for a moment. Before I could speak, the auntie continued, "Please don't rush to refuse. My son really is a wonderful person. You can get to know him first, just see how it goes, think of it as a trial period. I'll pay you during the trial period, too. How does $50,000 a month sound?" "Auntie, it's not a matter of money." I swallowed hard. "How many months are you planning for the trial period?" 3 months. "If you two don't click after 3 months, I won't pressure you," the auntie sighed, clearly worried sick. I instantly agreed. 3 months for $150,000. Only a fool would turn that down. Besides, the auntie's son was genuinely handsome, a feast for the eyes. The deal was set. The auntie gave me further instructions. "My son has been completely listless since he lost his sight. He often goes an entire day without saying a word, and he dislikes the housekeepers and butler. So, when you move in, it will just be the two of you. You'll have to be very patient and try to cheer him up." "Thank you." So, essentially, she was hiring someone to keep him company. This was great. I loved the idea of keeping a handsome guy company. We agreed to meet at the nearby coffee shop at 9 a.m. the next morning for a formal meet-cute. The following day, I intended to get up early to do my makeup and get dressed up, but I overslept and woke up at 8:30 a.m. There was no time to get fancy. Since the guy was blind, I figured dressing up was pointless, so I might as well keep it natural. I quickly tied my hair back, threw on a casual fall outfit, and headed out. When I arrived at the coffee shop, the auntie was already waiting. Next to her sat a man wearing sunglasses. He was stern and aloof, seemingly disconnected from the world. But he was undeniably the center of attention in the entire coffee shop. Countless women were sneaking glances at him, some even taking photos. I, too, was drawn to him, thinking, he is truly handsome. I quickly walked over, and the auntie stood up to welcome me. "Viola, you're here. This is my son, Ramon." Ramon remained still and didn't acknowledge me. I didn't mind, after all, he was blind and couldn't see me anyway. After I sat down, the auntie slipped away to let Ramon and me connect. I was mortified. How do I connect with Ramon? I had no experience, and he was blind. "Hello?" I forced a smile while admiring Ramon's breathtaking good looks. He nodded, which served as his reply. It was so awkward. I asked him if he had eaten breakfast. He said yes. I had a momentary brain lapse and blurted out, "Haha, I haven't eaten. I'm going to have breakfast first." As soon as I said it, I regretted it. Why did my inner foodie have to surface right now? Ramon nodded again, signaling me to help myself. I didn't hold back. Awkward small talk was too much of a torture, and I was hungry, so I ate. The breakfast at this coffee shop was incredible. I couldn't stop eating. I figured since Ramon couldn't see me, I didn't need to worry about my image. So, I devoured my first plate, wasn't full, and secretly waved the waiter over for a second serving. 2 plates later, I was stuffed. That was filling. The breakfast here is really a great deal, half a serving and I'm full, I said delicately, looking for a topic of conversation. Ramon's lips seemed to quirk up a little. I froze. Was he smiling? I looked closely. No, he wasn't smiling. He was still the same cool, aloof guy, not saying a word. The awkwardness continued until the auntie returned right on time. Ramon whispered something to her and then was assisted by the driver outside and left. I couldn't help but feel a little deflated. Did I fail the test? Was the 3 months and $150,000 about to fly away? To my surprise, the auntie joyfully grabbed my hand. "Viola, this is wonderful. My son said you were nice and that he's willing to give it a try." Huh? I was confused. He didn't say anything the whole time, he was so aloof. How could he possibly like me? I don't know, either. I've brought him here for 7 or 8 blind dates before, and he acted the same way, but he actually liked you. The auntie was still cheerful. I couldn't figure out what Ramon saw in me, so I decided not to think about it. I just focused on the $150,000. The auntie immediately transferred the $150,000 to me in one lump sum, smiling ear to ear. I was even happier. I'd been having trouble finding work lately, and I desperately needed the money. 3 months of cohabiting with Ramon, I get paid and have time to improve myself. It was a win-win. That very day, I packed my things and moved into Ramon's villa, a luxurious mansion located in the suburbs. I'd never seen such a huge villa, it must have been 8,000 square feet. There were several cars in the yard, Porsches, Ferraris, everything, which must have been the ones Ramon used to drive. The yard also had an outdoor pool and a garden on the east side. It was stunning. After the auntie dropped me off, I wandered around by myself, admiring the scenery, when a housekeeper appeared. I was a little surprised. Didn't they say I'd be living alone with Ramon? We don't live on site. We rotate to cook and clean every day, but we do and stay overnight and certainly wouldn't disturb you and the young master while you re alone, the housekeeper, clearly briefed by the auntie, proactively explained. I told her I understood. The housekeeper then pointed to the second floor. "Miss, you can go upstairs and choose a room, or you can stay with the young master directly, if he doesn't mind." Isn't moving in together a bit too fast? I still had some dignity. I decisively went upstairs to choose an empty room. However, as soon as I got up there, I saw Ramon sitting alone on the balcony. Motionless like an old man. It was sunset, and his silhouette in the warm light was incredibly handsome, but also incredibly lonely. A sudden wave of sympathy washed over me. This poor young master. Having lost his sight, even the most beautiful sunset was just blackness. That must be agonizing. "Hi, young master. I'm here." I thought for a moment and then walked over, acting casually. Ramon nodded softly, still not speaking. "I'll take you for a drive. You can feel the wind and the sunlight," I suggested, since I could drive. "I thought you would read to me or tell me stories." Like those counselors, Ramon spoke, his voice clear and deep, carrying an unshakable melancholy. I pouted. "Stories are boring, driving is much more thrilling." Ramon looked thoughtful and nodded. I immediately helped him downstairs. He walked very slowly, clearly having moved very little lately. He must have been sitting around every day since going blind, living a dull, listless life. We walked into the yard, where the Porsche was parked. The housekeeper rushed over, slightly panicked. "Young master, why are you down here? Be careful not to fall." "No need to be so nervous. Go get the car keys. I'm taking Ramon for a drive." I was a bit annoyed. Ramon was blind and had lost the will to live. Why worry about a few bumps and scrapes? He needed a few bumps and scrapes. The housekeeper retrieved the car keys. I helped Ramon get into the car. He sat in the passenger seat. I fiddled with it for a moment and then started the car. A Porsche really was different. The handling was superb. One step on the gas, and we were airborne. I overdid it. Bang! The car hit the perimeter wall. Fortunately, we weren't going fast enough. But Ramon and I both lurched forward, and our spit flew out. The housekeeper was terrified and rushed to help us. I was terrified, too. Oh my gosh, I'm done for. I looked at Ramon. His head was tilted, and his sunglasses were still perfectly in place. I quickly apologized. He slightly curved his lips, a helpless hint of a smile. Trying to murder me on the first day, that's bold. I laughed, too. Ramon was an interesting person. We were both fine. After changing to another car, we set off again. This time I was more experienced, and I didn't drive out of the villa complex, so nothing bad would happen. I drove in circles, and Ramon leaned his arm on the window. The evening breeze ruffled his short hair, and his profile was magically handsome. Incredible! We drove until dark before returning to the villa. After dinner, it was time for a shower and rest. The housekeeper had already left, so the job of assisting Ramon with his bath fell to me. I hadn't considered this part before, so I couldn't help but feel a little shy. Ramon undressed himself and sat in the bathtub, saying calmly, "I can't see, so don't worry about it." That was true, he couldn't see anything, so what was there to be shy about? I decisively helped him bathe, and I got my clothes soaking wet in the process. I simply took off my wet clothes, planning to grab a towel to wrap myself up. Suddenly, Ramon choked on something, startling me. I asked him what was wrong. Did he swallow water? His sightless eyes didn't move, and he gently shook his head, nothing. What are you doing? It was only then that I realized I was undressed and only wearing my underwear. If Ramon hadn't been blind, he would have seen everything. I quickly grabbed a towel to wrap around myself and forced a laugh. Nothing, nothing. I'll keep helping you. After an incredibly awkward atmosphere, the bath was finally over. I helped Ramon back to his room, took my own shower, and called it a night. I slept in a separate room. I wasn't bold enough to share a bed with Ramon. However, I didn't sleep well all night. I tend to have trouble sleeping in new places. I woke up the next morning, yawning repeatedly and feeling dizzy. Just then, Ramon came over to find me, steadying himself against the wall. He probably wanted to wash up. I pulled back the covers, and then felt how cold I was. I looked down. Crap! Why was I naked? I was sure I had gone to bed in pajamas, but after tossing and turning all night, they had disappeared at some point. I've always had a habit of sleeping naked, but I would never dare to do it in someone else's house. Yet, unconsciously, I had. I quickly dove back under the covers, my face flushed, and looked toward the door. Ramon was looking down at the floor, not saying a word. Did you see? What? I can't see. Oh, right. He's blind. Phew, false alarm. I lifted the covers again and quickly looked for my pajamas. Just then, Ramon looked up and choked on something again, then lowered his head. What's wrong with you again? I was confused. I might have a cold. I've been coughing a lot lately, Ramon said, coolly and calmly. That makes sense, I thought. He's a blind man, surely it's not because he saw my body, causing his heart to race, his blood to rush, and his chest to heave violently, thus triggering a cough, right? I got up and helped Ramon with his morning routine. The housekeeper downstairs called me for breakfast. I asked Ramon if he wanted to come down, and he said no. So, I went down myself and brought his breakfast up. When I got upstairs, I saw Ramon again, sitting motionless on the balcony like an old man. The morning sun was bright, but hitting him, it seemed to be tinged with a layer of gray melancholy. I sighed internally. This poor man. He seemed happy during the drive yesterday, but the deep-seated sorrow in his heart was hard to soothe. The laughter came and went. Life in the darkness had to continue. I could understand the psychology of people with disabilities quite well, as I had previously volunteered and received training for it. It wouldn't be easy to pull Ramon out of the darkness. Hey, breakfast time. Eat it yourself, though. I'm full and need to move around a bit. I walked over, set up a small table, and placed the breakfast in front of Ramon. He was startled. Usually the housekeeper feeds me. Why would they need to feed you? Grab the spoon, scoop like this, and the porridge goes right into your mouth. I crouched down and took Ramon's hand. Try it. Hold the pastry like this with your other hand, and it can go into your mouth, too. Ramon allowed me to do this. Both of his hands were occupied. He managed it easily. He didn't need to be fed at all. It's easy, right? I smiled sweetly. Ramon slightly upturned the corners of his mouth and nodded. I smiled to myself. People with disabilities are often uncomfortable when you treat them as disabled, especially a proud young master like Ramon. My principle was simple, just 2 words: act normal. I didn't treat Ramon as a blind person, letting him eat breakfast by himself. He had a good appetite and slowly enjoyed the morning sun and his food. I did some warm-up exercises next to him, starting my morning workout right there in my pajamas. I twisted my shoulders, did some squats, and bent my body, full of energy. As I was doing my thing, I suddenly realized my posture wasn't very graceful. I was bent over, twisting my torso, and my loose clothing made me clearly visible, and I was facing Ramon. If he hadn't been blind, his eyes would have swept over things they shouldn't. I quickly looked at him. He was sitting calmly, and I couldn't tell if the eyes behind his sunglasses were fixed on me. Wait, no. He's blind, so what would he be looking at? I was overthinking it. How could a handsome, blind man possibly see me? I relaxed and continued my morning exercise, twisting my neck and shaking my hips. After working up a sweat, I looked at Ramon again. He was leaning on the chair, lying on his side, his head turned away from me. Asleep? It was so early in the morning. Was he that weak? I tried to push him back inside, but he sat up straight. I'm not sleeping. Then why are you lying down? The sun is too bright. Even though I've lost my sight, I can still sense the light, and it's uncomfortable, Ramon explained, sounding a bit self-conscious. A proud young master like him, speaking with hesitation? I blinked but didn't think much of it. Maybe he wasn't self-conscious, maybe I was just overthinking it. Once the young master finished breakfast, I prepared to get to work. My job was to keep Ramon entertained and successfully pass the trial period. I found the housekeeper, Vera, and asked her about Ramon's hobbies. The young master had tons of hobbies: riding motorcycles, singing, painting, playing the piano. It's a shame that after the accident, he gave it all up. Sigh. Vera was quite sympathetic toward Ramon. I thought about it and settled on singing. If I could get Ramon to pick up a hobby again, he could step out of the darkness, or at least take a big step forward. I'm quite good at singing, so starting there wouldn't be difficult. I had the housekeeper turn on the sound system and set up the equipment. I was ready to showcase my singing prowess. The karaoke room was on the 3rd floor, Ramon's old room, fully equipped but clearly unused for a long time. I grabbed the mic, stood up, and started singing Taylor Swift. Before long, Ramon was led upstairs by the housekeeper. He sat silently in a chair, listening to me sing. I got into the groove, singing one song after another. Ramon's lips curled up again. He clapped and critiqued. Your high notes are muted. Your mid-range is heavy, and your low notes are airy. You have a lot of room for improvement. Go on, you try it. I've never lost to anyone in singing. I challenged Ramon. Vera, the housekeeper, was startled, frantically winking at me, signaling that I should be flattering Ramon and avoiding an argument. I didn't care about that. Ramon didn't either. He stood up and slowly felt his way over. I handed him the microphone. He chose a song and began to sing softly. I'd never heard it before, but the lyrics were full of metaphors for freedom. I was mesmerized. Ramon's melancholic and steady voice singing that song was absolutely captivating. However, an overwhelming sense of pity filled my heart as I listened to his voice. Ramon finished singing. The lyrics seemed to have affected him. Without any expression or words, he turned and went downstairs, heading back to sit on the balcony. My heart sank. I had intended for Ramon to sing to rediscover his interests, but instead, one song sent him into a shell. That wouldn't do. Ramon, you are amazing. How about we start a street band? I grabbed Ramon and excitedly suggested. We can sing in the plaza tonight and hang up a QR code to collect tips. Ramon was stunned. What's the process for collecting tips? If we sing well, people give us money. Begging? Pfft, we're earning a living with our talent. How is that begging? Vera looked distressed and shook her head at me, signaling me to drop it, probably thinking I was insulting Ramon. Ramon didn't refuse, but he didn't agree either, he just thought quietly. I was a little worried he'd say no, so I quickly said, I'll take 30%, you take 70. Or I'll take 20, and you take 80, whatever. Ramon laughed and actually reached up and touched my head. You can keep all of it, you little money grubber. Ramon agreed to go begging, singing, with me. He was even generous enough to let me keep all the money we made. I was thrilled. My first order of business was to register a QR code for payments. I had wanted to do this for a while. After all, I had experience singing at bars and figured if I couldn't find a job, singing for tips was a viable alternative. That evening, we went out to sing for tips. Vera the housekeeper came along. She was always worried something might happen to Ramon. When we got to the plaza, it was already dark. People were everywhere. There were quite a few street singers and even more online influencers. These days, influencers live streaming on the street were common, especially in the busiest plaza downtown. I chose a spot and set up the equipment with Vera, marking our territory. Ramon stood nearby, enjoying the breeze. He hadn't been out for a long time and wasn't used to it. The surrounding noise seemed to irritate him a bit. Of course, the girls crowding around also annoyed him. Ramon was the most handsome man in the entire plaza, so how could people not stare at him? We were set up quickly, but Ramon seemed ready to leave. He really disliked this noisy environment. I decided to act fast. Ramon, let's sing one together. Ramon looked at me for a long time with a "you're impossible" expression, then chuckled lightly. Your trial period isn't over yet. It's fine, as long as the love isn't missed, I joked. Ramon didn't respond but grabbed the microphone. Our duet was a huge success. Ramon was instantly a sensation. He was already drop-dead gorgeous, and his singing was so beautiful that it drew screams from the crowd. Countless people were recording videos. A lot of people scanned the code to donate money, which had me grinning from ear to ear. Ramon gradually adjusted to the atmosphere and sang several more songs with me, genuinely smiling for the first time in a long time. It wasn't just a slight smile, it was sincere joy. I was ecstatic, feeling incredibly virtuous. Our poor Ramon was finally stepping toward the light. After that, our days largely revolved around street singing. Ramon and I even became a hit online, which immensely satisfied my vanity. I also got completely comfortable with Ramon, essentially running wild in the villa. Since he couldn't see anything, I could be as crazy as I wanted. For example, I would run around all day in my pajamas, wearing whatever was most comfortable and revealing. For instance, I'd drag Ramon along to do yoga. And I'd do the splits right next to him, with my legs spread as wide as possible. Another time, I forgot to grab a towel after showering, so I ran out covering my chest. I had no choice. I couldn't exactly ask Ramon to grab it for me. He was involved in my unrestrained life almost the entire time. I don't know what was going on, but his cough still hadn't improved. He'd occasionally cough suddenly. Once, he was drinking tea when I came out wrapped in a towel to blow dry my hair, happily wiggling my butt. He immediately spat tea all over the floor. I was startled and asked him what was wrong. He covered his mouth and waved his hand. I burned myself. I messed around for over 2 months. Ramon was happy every day because he had motivation. We often went for drives. I crashed the Ferrari once, which gave Ramon a bump on his head. We also went on a drop tower ride. I wanted to find thrills for Ramon, but I scared myself to death, screaming the entire time while holding on to him. We also had regular pillow fights, where I'd wear a blindfold to be blind just like him, and we'd battle with pillows. He always won, so I'd secretly take off my blindfold to cheat and see how he managed it. But he still won, and he'd sneak a little smile before hitting me accurately, which drove me crazy. The nightly street singing was non-negotiable. Sometimes I didn't want to go, but he'd pressure me into it. Tonight, he wanted to go again, but it started raining. I laughed heartily. We can't go. Finally, a rest. Ramon smiled and once again patted my head. Perfect. I'll paint you a portrait. A portrait? Yes. You have 13 days left in your trial period, and I want to paint you. Ramon was serious. My heart unexpectedly tightened. Why does it feel like we're saying goodbye? Don't you like me? What are you saying? Just sit still. Ramon didn't answer my question and had me sit on the sofa. I asked, how can you paint when you can't see? My hands can touch you. I can feel your appearance. Ramon raised his hand. I stopped stalling. A portrait is a portrait. Ramon had the housekeeper bring in the easel and supplies, which were set up beside me. Ramon sat to my side, his left hand free to touch me, his right hand ready to paint. I sat nicely, looking at Ramon, curious about what he would paint. He started quickly, his left hand tracing my face, stroking it inch by inch. I have to say, his hand was warm and felt very soothing. But it was also ticklish, and I'm very ticklish, so I couldn't stop laughing. Ramon was laughing too, his smile constant. After a long while, he was done, and my neck was stiff. I leaned over to look, and wow, it was beautiful. The canvas showed me deep-set eyes, red lips, white teeth, and absolute beauty, brought to life. You're incredible. How did you do that? I found it unbelievable. Ramon was a blind man. How could he have painted it so perfectly? It just comes with practice. Ramon put away the brush, seemingly looking at the painting too. But he was blind, what was he seeing? Can I have this painting? I want to take it home and frame it. I rubbed my hands together. Ramon shook his head, I won't give it to you. Why not? I was anxious. This is the most satisfying painting I've ever done. I don't want to give it away, Ramon said softly. I felt a little sulky. This guy is so stingy. But I could whine. I leaned in, wrapped my arms around his neck, and cooed, please give it to me. I really, really love it. To be honest, after all this time together, this was the first time I had initiated physical contact with him. It felt like a natural progression, entirely spontaneous. Ramon didn't seem to think anything was wrong, and he affectionately patted my head. I'll give you $1 million. Consider this my purchase of the painting. Huh? I was a little confused, really? Really? I definitely had to sell it. I got $1 million for doing nothing, just out of the blue. Ha ha ha. Ramon really gave me $1 million. His mother delivered it the next day. Viola, my son said he wanted to give you $1 million. You should keep it. I've brought it for you. The auntie held my hand, talking to me at the villa's entrance. I took the card, feeling surprised and confused. Really? Are rich young masters this generous? The auntie smiled, looking a bit unnatural. I invited her in to sit down, but she waved me off. I won't go in. Your trial period is ending soon. Spend some more quality time with Ramon. He's changed so much, and I thank you. Honestly, I didn't do much. All I did was take Ramon for drives occasionally, drag him out to sing every day. And just generally mess around in the villa, living carefree. Ramon's improvement was mainly because I opened his heart, I guess. Once he was willing to embrace the outside world, he naturally got better. After seeing the auntie off, I skipped upstairs humming a tune. I was so happy. But then I saw Ramon sitting alone on the balcony again, motionless like an old man. My heart clenched. What's wrong? This isn't right. I ran over and hugged him. Hey, what are you doing? Meditating. Ramon smiled, letting me lean on his back. I looked closely at his expression. It seemed perfectly normal. It really was just meditation. I was overthinking things. That's good. Your mom really gave me $1 million. Wow, I'm a millionaire now. I shared my joy. Ramon chuckled, little money grubber. That's right, I'm a money grubber. And I'm going to marry you and take all your money. I was gleefully counting my chickens. Ramon was silent for a moment, then nodded and said, okay. On the last night of the trial period, I jumped onto Ramon's bed. It was a spur-of-the-moment idea. I was going to be officially hired tomorrow, so what did it matter if we slept in the same bed tonight? Heh, trial husband, here I come. I burrowed under the covers and hugged Ramon. He burst out laughing. Miss Viola, are you always this bold? No, I'm just too familiar with you. Let me tell you, if you weren't blind, you would have counted every single hair on my body by now. I wasn't ashamed. Why be shy when we were this close? Ramon laughed again. Ah, yes, yes, yes. I can't see anything. What a shame. A shame, my foot. Did you really want to count every hair? I playfully tapped his head. He turned and held me, trying to stifle his laughter. I poked him, and he begged for mercy, then strongly pulled me into his arms. I instantly melted. That broad, warm chest was a fatal weapon. What woman could resist? If Ramon had tried anything naughty right then, I would have surrendered immediately. But he didn't do anything, he just tried to coax me to sleep. Sleep now, sweetie. Get some rest. He was such a straight arrow, with no romance at all. Early the next morning, I deliberately went back to my room to put on a beautiful dress, and then rushed back to Ramon's room. Ramon, feel my dress. It's so beautiful. I twirled around like a fairy. Ramon sat on the bed, smiling. I don't need to see it to know it's beautiful. It's for your wife, after all. I said smugly. Ramon kept smiling. Then, we heard a car horn from downstairs. I was about to go look when Ramon spoke. It's my parents' people. Today is my mom's birthday, so I'm going out for a bit. You just stay here. When will you be back? Today is the day I get my permanent position. Soon, Ramon said, looking down. 2 housekeepers came up to help Ramon wash up and get dressed. I wanted to go downstairs and check. But 2 men in suits were standing guard at the staircase, preventing me from going down. I felt uneasy. What was going on? Ramon, are you sure those are your parents' people? I asked. Ramon answered yes, and the housekeepers helped him downstairs. I rushed to watch him go. He turned back and looked at me, smiling very gently. In that instant, I felt like he could see me. When will you be back? I blurted out. Soon. Ramon descended. After Ramon left, the housekeepers also mysteriously departed. I was left alone, sitting in the yard, looking around, incredibly bored, wondering what was happening. Finally, there was some activity. A red BMW drove in. I was delighted, thinking Ramon was back, but I saw it was an unfamiliar woman. I walked up to ask who she was. She looked me up and down and asked coldly, "Did you receive the $1 million? $1 million? I immediately thought of it, the $1 million Ramon's mother gave me? You could say that. It's good that you received it. The woman brushed off her sleeve, her tone icy. Miss Viola, I regret to inform you that you did not pass the trial period. Please pack your things and leave. What? I was completely bewildered and instinctively asked back, why? There is no why. You are not Ramon's type. However, he is very grateful that you helped him come out of his slump. He has found the courage to face a new life. The woman's expression was utterly flat, as if she were stating a fact. The $1 million is his payment to you, consider it a breakup fee. A breakup fee? My lips trembled, and an inexplicable pang of heartache shot through me. Why did this happen? I admitted I came for the money initially, but after 3 months together, the money was no longer what mattered. Affection is not something that money can measure. All the little moments between Ramon and me were a permanent mark on my life. Our first drive where we crashed into the wall, our first street performance, the first time he touched me to paint. I don't believe Ramon doesn't want me. I stared at the woman, my eyes full of stubbornness. She looked at me calmly, her voice carrying a threat. Miss Viola, I am giving you 1 hour to pack your things and leave. Otherwise, I will press charges for trespassing and have the police remove you. After saying this, the woman went back to her car and sat down. I stood there dumbfounded, my mind a blank. Grievance, confusion, pain, various emotions intertwined. Then, thinking of Ramon's deception as he left, tears suddenly streamed down my face. He clearly said he would be back soon. An hour later, the police arrived. I frantically packed my things and left the luxurious villa like a zombie. Back in my long-forsaken small apartment, I was still in a daze, unable to accept reality. I thought about the song Ramon sang, the portrait he drew, and his deceit when he left. He must have known I was about to be kicked out. After several days of agony, I felt utterly weak and had to go out for something to eat. As I walked, I suddenly fainted, only remembering that I was near the singles corner. When I woke up, I was in the hospital. The nurse told me a stylish woman had brought me in. I inquired about her and immediately concluded the stylish woman was the auntie from the singles corner, Ramon's mother. "Where is she?" I quickly asked. "She paid your bill and left." "She said she didn't know you," the nurse replied. "Didn't know me?" She clearly did. She was trying to avoid me. I discharged myself as quickly as possible and ran to the singles corner to catch her. But after searching for several days, I couldn't find her. I became even more convinced she was trying to avoid me. There had to be something more to the story of Ramon and me. I rushed to Ramon's villa to look for him, only to find it empty. Ramon wasn't there at all. Looking at the deserted mansion, my heart felt empty, too. "Ramon, what on earth are you playing at? Why are you doing this to me?" I left, crestfallen, and somehow made it back home, where I collapsed into sleep. I dreamed of Ramon's face, him singing, him painting, followed by the sound of shattering glass. I shivered in my sleep. Glass? It was a car window, shattered all over the ground, which was covered in blood. A man lay motionless on the ground, and I was squatting beside him, giving him CPR, saving his life. I woke up instantly. Why did I dream of that car accident? Last year, I was riding my scooter past a steep slope and discovered a sports car had flipped over, with glass and blood everywhere. The driver was barely alive. I quickly administered first aid until the ambulance arrived. Why would I suddenly dream of this? I closed my eyes and carefully recalled the memory. Drowsily, I fell back into the dream, and the man on the ground merged with Ramon. Ramon! It was Ramon! I sat up immediately. Yes, even though Ramon was bloody and disfigured at the time, I vaguely remembered his appearance. It was him! I saved Ramon last year. Then I was pulled into the singles corner to keep him company. Now, Ramon had left. He planned this all along. Ramon, what the hell are you doing? I cursed, tears flowing again. A strange impulse made me rush out the door. I grabbed my mountain bike, which I hadn't ridden in a long time, and furiously pedaled toward the crash site in the darkness. The steep slope after the third curve on that mountain. It was the middle of the night, with hardly any cars on the road, let alone cyclists. I wasn't wearing any protective gear, I just charged up the mountain. An hour later, I was drenched in sweat, having climbed the third steep slope. Past the slope was an empty lot, a place to rest and park. A Ferrari was parked there, its lights flickering. I could faintly see a man sitting inside, silently looking at a painting. My pupils contracted, and I shouted, "Ramon." Tears instantly gushed out. I had come here on a bizarre whim, never expecting to find Ramon. But there he was. He was sitting in the car, lonely as an old man. The man in the car moved, immediately stepped on the gas, and sped up the mountain, leaving me behind. I yelled, "Ramon, what are you doing?" I chased after him on my mountain bike like a maniac, but the Ferrari pulled further and further away. I was dizzy with exhaustion. I lost control, fell off the bike, and tumbled down the steep slope. I hit my head and bled, smashing against a rock by the cliff edge, nearly blacking out. The night was cold, the surroundings deathly silent, and the temperature low. I felt like I was going to die, crying incessantly in my daze. A pair of large hands lifted me up, and a warm, faint scent enveloped me. I cried even harder, scolding him through my sobs, "Why are you doing this to me?" Ramon didn't say anything and carried me into the car. I saw my portrait, and then, completely spent, I passed out. When I awoke with a start, I was in the hospital again. I immediately called for Ramon, but a woman answered me. "The young master has gone to America to take over the family business. He left last night." I looked at the woman, and sure enough, it was Ramon's mother, the woman from the singles corner. Ramon left? Who are you, really? I'm actually the young master's housekeeper, not his mother. You can call me Alice. Alice sighed, her face full of bitterness. I demanded to know why she lied to me. "Viola, it seems you saved the young master back then, or you wouldn't have rushed to the mountain. This entire thing was actually the young master's way of repaying you," Alice explained. I shook my head. If he wanted to repay me, he could have just given me money. Why go through all that trouble? Ramon just liked me. He wanted me to keep him company for 3 months, and he played with my feelings. Alice was speechless. After a moment, she gave a bitter smile. "Let me tell you the truth. The young master went up there to commit suicide that year. I was shocked. Suicide? The young master was under too much pressure. His life was like a puppet's, controlled by his parents. He was excellent since childhood, always standing at a height unreachable by ordinary people. But the more successful he was, the lonelier he became. He later developed depression and chose to end his life. Alice's eyes reddened, and her voice choked up. You saved him, and he finally felt what warmth was, which is why he couldn't forget you. While recovering, he made a deal with his parents. He would agree to live according to their wishes, but he had to see you again and repay you. Alice finally revealed the whole story. I sat there for a long time, unable to speak. Ramon, you idiot. I need to see him. I got out of bed. He went to America last night, Alice said awkwardly. Who are you trying to fool? I went to find him at 2 in the morning. He took me to the hospital and then flew to America in the middle of the night. I wasn't easily fooled. Ramon definitely hadn't gone to America. Alice gave a dry laugh and said softly, Viola, let it go. The young master promised his father and mother that he would be a good successor and marry Miss Wilson. The young master is already satisfied with having loved you for 3 months. Satisfied my butt. Tell Ramon I will go to the mountain tonight. If he doesn't come to find me by midnight, I will jump. I was absolutely resolute. Alice was stunned. I didn't say anything more to her. I checked out of the hospital early and went home to rest up. In the evening, I took a taxi up the mountain and sat in the empty lot. As time passed, the people and cars on the mountain left. In the end, it was just me and the mosquitoes. I checked the time, 11:45 p.m. 15 minutes left. I stood up and looked around the mountain. There wasn't a soul in sight. Ramon, you're not coming, are you? After 15 minutes passed, I walked toward the guardrail. All I had to do was climb over and I could jump. I didn't hesitate and climbed right over. Suddenly, a pair of headlights flashed, and a Ferrari sped up the mountain. My legs trembled, and I quickly climbed back over. The car stopped. Ramon got out, wearing sunglasses, and looked at me quietly. I ran toward him. He raised his hand to stop me. Miss Viola, we're even. Shut up. I threw myself onto him and kissed him directly. Ramon froze and tried to push me away forcefully. I refused to let go, kissing him and weeping at the same time. Ramon felt my tears and immediately softened. When I finally released him, he was breathing heavily, his cheeks flushed. I didn't waste any time with talk and got straight to the point. I'll teach you a way to deal with your parents. You're just not thinking clearly. You've been suppressed your whole life and don't even have the concept of resistance. I scoffed. Ramon was still catching his breath, then took a deep breath. Miss Viola, I don't want to discuss this. Shut up. I started kissing him again. When Ramon pushed me, I let go and ran toward the cliff. Ramon was startled and had to chase after me and hug me. I continued to kiss him, flushing his face again. He couldn't be serious anymore. I took his hand, and we walked to the guardrail together. I took a picture of the steep cliff with his phone. What are you doing? Ramon asked, confused. Post this picture on Instagram and say you always like to come here in the middle of the night to look around, and maybe the bottom is where you belong. I instructed Ramon. Also, whenever you have free time, run up here and pretend to commit suicide. Ramon frowned. No, that's too much messing around. You have to mess around. Being reckless like me is the only way it'll work. If you don't post it, I'll jump. I was about to climb over the guardrail again. Ramon pursed his lips and looked at me. What exactly do you want? What do I want? I love you. What do you think I want? I glared at him fiercely. I don't want your repayment. I just want you. I had never said anything so dominant, as if Ramon and I had swapped roles. But as soon as the dominant words left my mouth, all the accumulated grievances poured out. I cried like a child, staring at Ramon and letting the tears fall. Ramon hugged me tightly. Don't cry. I'll post it. Ramon posted on Instagram a photo of the cliff with the caption, always like to come here in the middle of the night to look around, and maybe the bottom is where I belong. After that, I told Ramon to wait there and I left first. Ramon listened to me, sitting in the car, lonely like an old man again. I walked far away and hid behind the trees, watching Ramon's car. Before long, sirens blared from down the mountain, and private cars rushed up. I watched, dumbfounded. At least 30 or 40 cars came looking for Ramon. I saw many people surrounding Ramon, including the elderly and middle-aged. I even heard a furious shout, "Ramon, why are you trying to do something foolish again?" The farce lasted for a while before the crowd dispersed, and Ramon was taken away. I went back to my rental apartment to rest. I didn't hear anything from Ramon for a whole week. But on the 8th day, Alice came to see me and said the madam wanted to meet me. I scoffed internally. Fine, I'll meet her. At a high-end restaurant, I met the madam, Ramon's mother. I recognized her. She was the one who told me to get out of the villa. Meeting again, I proactively offered a handshake. "Madam, how may I help you?" I wore a winner's smile. The madam's face was stern, and she didn't shake my hand. Instead, she got straight to the point. "Tell me, how much money do you want?" "How much money for what?" Ramon clearly agreed to be our successor and marry Miss Wilson, but then he suddenly changed his mind and wanted to commit suicide. "I suppose you instigated that?" There was killing intent in her eyes. I shook my head. "Is it possible that you forced him to seek death?" "Why did he try to commit suicide last year?" Her expression changed. Ramon just had a temporary lapse in judgment. "What are you trying to say? How long are you going to keep deceiving yourself? Will you only admit you were wrong when Ramon is dead?" I was relentless. His mother's face turned ashen, and she slammed her hand on the table. Alice flinched and quickly signaled me to back off. I didn't care. I slammed my hand on the table too. Even a spring has its limits. You think the harder you press it, the higher it will bounce? Didn't you ever consider that you might break the spring? Think about it. When has Ramon ever been happy? If I hadn't stayed with him for 3 months, that spring would have broken long ago. The more I spoke, the angrier I became. I threw the bank card out. "I don't need your $1,000,000. Keep it to buy a wedding gift for your Miss Wilson." I cursed and walked away. The madam's face cycled between green and white. She sat there, stunned. I returned to my apartment. Shortly after, Alice came over. I thought she was there to scold me, but she gave me a thumbs up. "Viola, you're so brave." The madam was completely speechless after your scolding. She was even muttering, "Did I really do something wrong? She'll admit she's wrong?" I didn't believe it. The young master is acting like this. I'm afraid the madam has no choice but to admit she's wrong. Alice sighed, handing the bank card back to me. "The madam forgot this card." She walked out distracted, and I had to bring the card to you. "I don't want it." I shook my head. Alice tried to persuade me. "Take it. You deserve it. As for the young master's matter, the madam will decide." I still refused. Since I returned it to the madam, I couldn't be greedy for the money. "Are you sure you don't want it? That's $1,000,000. Alice pressed me. I was annoyed. No means no. I told Alice to take it. Alice laughed. "It seems Miss Viola truly loves the young master. She was tempted by $50,000 a month at first, but now she won't even take $1,000,000. Is this the power of love?" I was uncharacteristically shy. "Love or whatever, don't talk nonsense." Alice kept smiling and looked back at the door. I was surprised because Ramon's mother was standing at the entrance. Her expression was complicated, and she stared intensely at me. I asked, "What are you doing here?" She didn't say a word, just turned and walked away. Alice quickly followed. I was confused. What was going on? 3 days later, Alice came again. She smiled sweetly. "Miss Viola, the young master has been running up the mountain to threaten the madam these past few days. The strong mountain wind caused his eye condition to relapse, and he is blind again." "What? Blind again?" "Yes. So, after careful consideration, the madam is asking you to go back and take care of the young master. This time, it's $100,000 a month." Alice pulled out a contract. "How many months this time? If it weren't for Ramon being blind again, I wouldn't go." "It's hard to say. It depends on the young master. I've asked him, and his initial thought is for life. Whether that changes is up to you. Alice laughed. I paused, instantly understanding. Let's go. Let's go. I returned to the villa. I went in alone again. The housekeeper was cooking, and the second floor was quiet. I ran upstairs and saw Ramon sitting on the balcony painting. A smile broke out instantly. I tiptoed over and saw the girl in the painting. It was me, but my hair was in a single ponytail, which was my hairstyle last year. You remember my hairstyle from last year? I hugged him. He had already heard me coming and smiled slightly. Your single ponytail kept brushing my face when you gave me CPR. You really fooled me. Let me ask you, were you really blind or just pretending for those 3 months? I ground my teeth, a blush creeping up my cheeks. It was impossible not to be ashamed. What did I do during those 3 months? Showered with the door open, didn't wear a bra under my clothes, slept naked. My God, I want to die just thinking about it. I was genuinely blind. I only recovered a few days after you left, and then the mountain wind blinded me again. The doctor said it would take a month of rest to fully recover, Ramon said sincerely. His car accident was too severe, damaging his eyes and making relapses easy. I relaxed. It seemed Ramon hadn't seen anything. Take your time painting. Sister is back. I'm going to take a shower first. I hummed a tune to the bathroom and casually stripped off my clothes and tossed them aside. Ramon choked on something, startling me. I suddenly remembered something. I recalled that every time he choked and coughed, it was when I was changing or flashing him. Could it really be such a coincidence? I put my clothes back on, pretended to walk past him, and suddenly threw a punch near his face. He quickly dodged sideways. He wasn't blind at all. The scene became awkward. He finally confessed to me that the car accident had blinded him for a period. He later recovered but didn't tell anyone, to stall the arranged marriage and temporarily escape his parents' control. So, during those 3 months he hired me, he saw everything. I truly regretted that I hadn't actually tried to hit him just now. I silently stood up. Ramon panicked. He said he was wrong and that I could punish him however I wanted. I said, then I'll punish you by making you strip down and show me. Ramon was stunned and said, isn't that a punishment? How did it become a reward? I said, forget it if you don't want to. He abruptly carried me toward the bedroom. Of course I want to. Bring on this punishment often in the future. Punish me for decades. Ramon abruptly carried me toward the bedroom, and the door slammed shut behind him. Punishment, he said in a husky voice, pinning me against the door, a mischievous smile playing on his lips. Then I'll punish myself by never being able to clearly see anyone else but you. My punishment officially began. The next morning, when I woke up, Ramon was quietly watching me. In his dark eyes, there was no longer the empty void of those 3 blind months, but a depth of tenderness and amusement. Your eyes are truly beautiful. I reached out and touched his face, a hint of lingering fear and playful accusation in my voice. Tell me, when exactly did you recover your sight? Did you really see everything those 3 months? Ramon's smile deepened, carrying the smugness of a successful schemer. Of course, I saw everything clearly. But I found that what I loved to see most was your normal, utterly uninhibited demeanor. You showered with the door open, your pajamas slipped, you slept naked in the morning. Every revealing moment made me feel, you were so interesting, so brave. It was a gift you unknowingly gave me. I threw a pillow at him in a mix of embarrassment and anger, but my heart was sweet as honey. Then why did you go blind again later? I asked. That was because of you. The stress got to me, and my eye condition relapsed. Ramon sighed, hugging me tightly. However, the thought of you actually jumping off that cliff scared me so much I was half-cured instantly. Viola, that move of yours was brilliant. Just then, there was a gentle knock on the door. Alice walked in, followed by Ramon's mother, the madam. The madam's attitude had completely changed this time. Her arrogance was gone, replaced by the fatigue of submission and a touch of helplessness. Miss Viola, the madam looked at me, her tone conveying surrender. I admit I have failed. Ramon said that if he couldn't marry you, he would rather jump off a cliff. Since that's the case, you had better be able to keep him in line and make sure he lives a good life. She handed me a card, a black one this time, signifying an unlimited limit. This is the betrothal gift for Ramon's future wife. Keep it safe. I looked at Ramon, and he gave me a victorious smirk. I didn't hesitate and took the card. I will take good care of him, I said with a smile. After all, he is the husband I tricked into marrying me with my own skills. From then on, I was no longer the trial period housekeeper earning $50,000 a month, but Ramon's official fiancé. Ramon also finally escaped the fate of an arranged marriage and parental control. Because his mother realized that only I could ensure he would be a proper successor. We still occasionally sing on the streets, Ramon remains melancholic and steady, and I am still full of energy. But more often, we travel to all corners of the world. In every new place, Ramon picks up his brush and paints a portrait of me, his gaze focused and gentle. And I continue my reckless life of treating him as not blind. Of course, I occasionally ask him abruptly, "Honey, are you blind again?" I just changed into a really revealing outfit. He always immediately puts down his paintbrush, picks me up, and answers me with his eyes, which see more clearly than anyone, and with the actions that follow, he sees me perfectly, and he will look at me for the rest of his life.